talk to him.
All right. So, but in all of this, it would be safe to say is here to do America's job, not on patriotic grounds for saying there's soft touch for the motherland. That's what it is.
Yeah, Adeyemo, U.S. Deputy Treasury Secretary of the Biden administration, is representing the Biden administration, is representing America's interests. So, the speech, this always happened at the Lagos Business School. The speech he gave was very, very straightforward about, it was very straightforward about the U.S. interests, U.S. relationship with Africa, U.S. relationship with Nigeria. Said they're not trying to counter China. Nigeria just needs to do her job in terms of boosting her economy, and the U.S. is ready to support that. Is basically his message when he gave his speech.
Now, one cannot wish away oil in this conversation, and knowing China's influence in terms of oil, sales between Nigeria and so let's look at what the influence would be like. America's oil imports from Nigeria. It has dropped over the years. So what was his position on that one?
Yeah, so looking at data from the Energy Information Administration, America was importing back in January of 2010 about 32 million barrels from Nigeria. It fell to about 800,000 barrels in January of 2022. And then it climbed back up again to about 6 million in January of this year. But basically, America is importing less oil. So I threw that question to him. I was like, okay, well, why is that? It's been said that, America is one of the highest producers of oil. They make, they produce, different grades, but they make shale oil. Shale oil, I understand, has a similar grade to Nigeria's light sweet crude. And oil now is at $94, $95 a barrel now. So the higher oil prices are, the more shale producers in the US are incentivized to produce. But anyway, when I asked him that, he said, well, what needs to happen is that Nigeria just needs to invest in her own oil and gas infrastructure. And he pointed out correctly that our oil production has fallen to historically low levels because of a number of reasons. He didn't get into the reasons, but he just said, look, you need to invest in your oil and gas. And then he also emphasized that we need to diversify our energy mix and go into renewable energy and so on. So that was his response. But it's clear looking at the data that America has drastically reduced its imports from Nigeria. They get most of their oil from Canada now.
Okay, so let's get this one in there for the listener. This time, you can also send in a message responding to any of the issues Rotus will raise this morning on Business Express. So we're looking forward to getting the message on 0809-444-0981. I see one dropping by. Tire is waiting, and the client's tire is waiting already. But let's go into this one. People that watched a speech at the Lagos Business School kept asking for dollars. What was his response? We see a man coming from, we just feel that's a tree of dollar. We need to pluck out of it. Why are we having this mentality right now?
No, because I think thanks to this show, thanks to the Nigerian media, thanks to everybody, people are very aware of what we need now. It was very, very clear. Everybody was, at least the people in that Lagos Business School auditorium, were acutely aware of the fact that Nigeria needs FX right now. It was so apparent. So this guy got up. I was like, can you please give us $50 billion loan for 10 years, no interest, moratorium? I mean, the guy laid out, the guy sounded like a bank. He was like, low interest, we won't pay it off for 10 years, then we'll start paying it off later, less than 1%.
God.
So yeah, everybody was just very aware. Somebody from Bloomberg, one of the questions from someone from Bloomberg News was like, hey, listen, Nigeria needs dollars, you have dollars, can we have some? Whoa. So his response was, look, and it was a very straightforward, blunt response. He just said, hey, listen, Nigeria does not have a properly developed macroeconomic framework for attracting foreign direct investments. That's just a fact. If we did, and when somebody tells you that you do not have the macroeconomic framework to attract foreign direct investment. They are telling you that you need to fix certain things in your country in order to attract investment. So that was his blunt answer. It was like the US has, and then he correctly said the US has, and he puts it on US companies. He was like, look, we are the government. The people you should be talking to is private sector people in US companies to come in. I asked him about Tesla coming here. I asked him about Walmart. I asked him about other big American companies. He said, look, it's up to you to make your economy attractive. So make those private companies come in.
Okay, from a standpoint, that looks like, well, that he didn't even say, hey, yo, man, we don't plug dollars in the US, man. He didn't say that our way. Well, see, he didn't say that. Well, I was just a bit, but it's almost coming as that. You're just asking a man, how much can he give to you right now without interest? We must do the work. That's what he's saying, to get this thing, to get the Forex, the FX in. Now, what is this stance on Nigeria's debt? You remember yesterday you talked about our debt already climbing up as much as over 80 trillion naira. So please speak on that one.
Yeah, so I asked him about the debt, and what I asked him was, hey, listen, out of our debt is like 100 and it's something trillion. If you compare to dollars, it's like about 113 or something billion. About 42 or 43 billion of that is external debt. After that external debt, about 15 billion is to the World Bank, the International Development Agency or so. And so the US is the largest shareholder in the World Bank. The US is the largest shareholder in the IMF. Basically, if you are getting money from the World Bank and IMF, you are getting money from America. So I was like, okay, well, what's your stance on debt relief? Can you release some of Nigeria's debt? And he said, well, he pretty much said no. It was like, look, our debt relief, our stance is that if you want to pay off your debts, you have to invest in your people, boost your economy, and raise revenues to where you can pay off your debts. Kind of like when, Angola has been able to pay down some of its debts thanks to the rising prices of crude oil due to the war in Ukraine. So he was basically saying, just, you've got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and raise your revenues to where you can pay off your debt.
Certainly, I know a conversation you would have with such a personality coming into Nigeria when you've got a question to ask him you would not fail to raise questions relating to tech. So what exactly was his response? Because there are big IT tech companies in the US. Let's get some of them in here. What was the response you got?
Yeah, so he talked a lot about technology and how Nigeria has, he's talked to entrepreneurs here and that things are looking up and encouraging. But I also brought up something else. I brought up some domestic issues in the United States right now. You have the UAW, which is a union that is on strike right now because their work is mostly with fossil fuel cars that gulp petrol. And electric cars, the US government has made a sizable investment in electric vehicles. Electric vehicles use less parts than fossil fuel cars. So they are worried about their future and their jobs. Also, in Hollywood, the Screen Actors Guild, the Writers Guild of America, they are worried about how AI is, studios can use those AI to write scripts or review scripts, and they're also on strike as well. So there's a backlash against technology in the US from unions that are worried about the future. So I asked him about it. I said, look, be that as it may, technology is still the future. You have to invest in it, and the US will try and sort out those domestic issues. But, build more skills, look for more jobs in tech. But basically, it was still very bullish on technology being a way to boost an economy here in Nigeria.
Well, if you can do this for us in a minute so we can go over to the clients waiting already. I see them on the fringes. Diversity. Earlier on, we opened up the conversation when we talked about its Nigerian roots. So the Biden administration in terms of diversity, what was the message to the world in terms of diversity?
Yeah, basically, look, he's the highest ranking. He's the first Black man to be the US Deputy Treasury Secretary. Janet Yellen, the woman he's serving with, is the first woman to be Treasury Secretary. Vice President Kamala Harris is the first Black woman, first woman of color to be Vice President. So he was basically saying that, look, open up your administration, make it diverse. Diversity of thought is good. Diversity of, of background is good as well. And that's just the message of the administration to other administrations around the world.
All right, so that's enough time for us to get in a few message in here. I see Tayo sent in a message. It says, Barrister Wali Adeyemo came for America's interest, but who better to send than our own? They should compete with better offers than China and not block opportunity for Africa. Foreign investors will enter Nigeria economy and start witnessing problem from the point of entry. We have a long way to go, perception and operation wise. That's from Tayo this morning. I have Yinka Bolu waiting with this message. He says, that guy asking for 50 billion US dollar should be flogged. They should have cuckoo ask him to print dollar for us. You see why I said we don't grow money in the US there? And then it goes, we appear aware that we need FX, but some folks are not aware that high crude prices mean high PMS price. On NLC asking for realistic 200K minimum wage, and the same NLC also including NURTW fight in the list of NLC federal government negotiations. Yinka Bulu, you go on with that one. That wasn't part of Rotus.
No,
I
get where he's going. I get where Yinka is going.
Then I have Gilbert from Festac Musa. It goes on with this one. On diversification from oil, according to Adeyemo, it says, to non-oil sector, have we considered going back to the regions in the early 1960s or before 1960s, where the southern western states like Oyo and others produce quality cocoa beans for export, or where Midwest, that's Edo and Delta, produce quality lumber, wood, and oil palms for export? These are your clients this morning. Rotus, it's the size of the show.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you for everyone that sent messages. It's always good. Nigeria is an amazing country. We have amazing Nigerians doing amazing things around the world. So really proud of what we're doing. Thanks for the messages.
All right. Thank you so much, Rotus. Do have a great day.
All right. Take care.
Yeah. And to everyone who sent a message, thank you so much. My name is Omatseye, Atsenuwa, and that's the Size of Business Express on Smooth 98.1 FM. Good morning.